118-year-old organization, Rotary, towards building a future in which people and nature thrive. To share a few notes about our fellowship group, we are a group of around 500 plus interested individuals who have globally united around a common interest with the primary purpose to network and further friendship. Although our fellowship activities are conducted independently of Rotary International, but they are in harmony with the Rotary policies. Our purpose is to create awareness about importance of wildlife, to promote lasting friendships outside one's own club, district, and country, and promote locally, regionally, and globally that conservation of living resources are important to humans and future generations to enjoy our natural world and the incredible species that live. Rotary Club is a member of Rotary International, and a Rotary Fellowship Group is a group of like-minded individuals driven by Rotarians beyond their clubs. Today, we have invited members of various Rotary clubs and friends of Rotary from different parts of the world for this meeting. A hearty and warm welcome to each one of you. On behalf of Wildlifers, I also extend a very warm welcome to our distinguished speaker, Pooja Dev. Pooja is working as a senior resource mobilization officer at Wildlife SOS for more than 2 years now. She is one of the key members handling the philanthropic and outreach activities of the organization. She has given multiple sessions about wildlife conservation and its importance to thousands of people, from students to company employees. She has completed her master's in wildlife biology from AVC College. As a conservationist and an educator, she aims to contribute to wildlife conservation and promote sustainable practices. Pooja, a very warm welcome to you. And over to you. You can take over from now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Sanjay sir has given a very sweet and nice introduction. Thank you so much for participating, and thanks for giving me this opportunity to talk more about wildlife conservation in India and introduce Wildlife SOS to everyone. So I'll quickly share my screen. Is it visible to you all?
Yes, Pooja, it is visible.
Right, lovely. Okay. So,
Pooja, I think we lost you.
Is it?
Now we had lost you. You can start now.
All right, thank you. So basically, this presentation is, an introduction and a small brief orientation about wildlife conservation, specifically permitting to our country, and it would also help you visualize what all we can do to, conserve or save the habitat of the wildlife in our country. So when we talk about wildlife conservation, what it actually means is, preservation or protection of the animals, plants, and their habitats. So keeping the, wild flora intact, or keeping the wild animals intact and not disturbing their habitat, is also a part of wildlife conservation. It is just an activity, where human like us, we make conscious decisions or efforts to protect plants and other animal species and their habitats. And it is very, very important because wildlife and wilderness play a major and significant role in maintaining the ecological balance, and it also contributes to human quality of life. So when we talk about understanding wildlife conservation, it is very important to maintain the food chain and ecosystem balance to start with. If all the tigers, get hunted for skins, then the count of deer increases drastically. Along with this, if humans kill all the hens for chickens for meat, then there would be no source of eggs. So wildlife conservation is basically necessary to maintain the population of animals on Earth and to maintain their role in the ecosystem and food chain. When we talk about evolution, wildlife is a pillar of natural evolution. For millions of years, plants and animals have managed to adapt to conditions. They have developed. They adopted features and characters that allow them to sustain in their habitat, both physiological as well as, in terms of interacting with the environment. So it's a very essential process. The wildlife conservation is a very essential process and is needed for the diversity of life and for new survival strategies. So when we talk about adaptation, genetic adaptation is a fundamental aspect of the origin of life, and it is a pillar of evolution. In the absence of enough diversity, life will soon die out of the planet. And we sometimes forget, which is why we also don't understand, that when we breed the animals, we sometimes have to think about inbreeding and outbreeding also. So I'll discuss more about this in the coming slides. When we talk about ecosystem imbalance, wildlife helps ecosystems stay in balance. Every living organism is connected to each different living organisms. When even one organism turns threatened or extinct or vulnerable, it has a cascading impact on the complete ecosystem. It destabilizes, or it gives a entire shock to the food chain and all through the environment. So it's additionally essential to recognize that species threats are not often remote events. Everybody knows it and everybody feels it. Things that endanger honeybees endanger different pollinators as well. So it's not about just one species. You harm one species, the entire food chain or entire food web gets imbalanced. The all natural world deserves to be covered by ecosystems to thrive. When we talk about pollination, we have to understand that birds, insects, bees, these are small animals that contribute significantly to food production. These conservation of these animals helps, in pollination. They're very important in crop production, intercropping, and ensuring the survival of native, plant species, because they rely on nectar from flowers. And wildlife is the base of the food chain. When we talk about medical significance, although plants are the primary source of medications, some animals also play an essential role in the production of medicines, like cobra venom. For instance, it is a vital ingredient in leprosy medications, and lobsters are used as antifungal treatments. So we didn't know it. We always think that plants, you save plants and kill animals, or vice versa. But we don't realize that one species is directly or indirectly connected to the other one. And not just that, cultural significance is also attached to wildlife. The influence of wildlife on culture cannot be overstated. So animals and plants have always, have had an impact on things like religious beliefs and food. We have seen so many times the trees are being worshipped, or tigers are being worshipped. Specifically, in Maharashtra, there are huge number of villages where they worship tigers, where they worship trees, where they worship different types of animals. They'll make a sculpture out of it, and they think that it needs to be saved. In fact, not just tigers, leopards also are worshipped in different villages of Maharashtra. So when we talk about protecting the indigenous, we also should understand that wildlife, helps the livelihood of people. There are many people who benefit from wildlife tourism, such as those who, provide fishing equipment, porters, guides, drivers, binoculars for bird watching, and many more. Like, we also should understand that wildlife conservation is extremely, impossible without the help of the indigenous people. The people that stay inside the villages or the tribal communities, they are the ones who actually preserve or conserve the habitat out there. You and I don't go there and actually do something. What we do is, some research work or do some awareness, but they are the people who actually do some on-ground work and helps, in protecting or conserving the habitat. So threats to wildlife. We have spoken about wildlife conservation, but now our wildlife is in danger. And this has many reasons behind it. When we talk about it, the first reason that comes to my mind is habitat loss and deforestation. The first picture brings tears to my eyes, honestly, because this is something very, very unexpected, but very common in different parts of our country. And where there's no place for the animals to move around, what they do is they'll definitely try to venture out in human habitation areas. And that's when we actually, blame the animals to come to the human habitation or human apartments or anything. We blame the animals, but it is us who is to be blamed. It is us who is to be blamed for all the conflict situations. So habitat loss, when we talk, it is just, the destruction of habitat. It is like habitat fragmentation, where the habitats get fragmented in different parts. It is degraded, destructed, or, alteration of one continuous habitat. So there, see, when the elephants or tigers, when they move inside the forests, they just don't walk for 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers. They walk for several kilometers at a stretch. But when there's no continuous habitat, for example, they walk and they see there is a village. So they'll definitely have to cross the village and then walk to the other, habitat. So that is what also brings in a lot of conflict. And, wildlife that used to live there are, usually displaced or killed, of course, because there will be conflict situations with people. It is the leading cause for the loss of species from extinction. This habitat loss and deforestation is something which is, the major problem for wildlife conservation to go down in our country. When we talk about hunting or poaching, illegal trapping, poaching, and other demands for wildlife, they, of course, are a huge problem, not just in our country, but throughout the world. Many species, are sought for their use as valuable products. Snakes are sought for their skins, elephants for their ivory, tusks, birds for their feathers, and so on. Like, we have our sloth bear project going on. So only after looking into the Chinese and Japanese markets, we got to know that they also use the sloth bear paw as a delicacy. And they think that, the gallbladder of the sloth bears is definitely going to help them treat with different, medical problems, which is why, the poaching activity is encouraged. So wildlife are also trapped, or taken from wild populations to be sold or bred in the pet trade. So we have actually, to mention, we have also confiscated so many animals like star tortoises. We have confiscated rose-ringed parakeets, many animals, and they were being, translocated to different parts of the world, and they were actually being sold. So the worldwide demand for, the medical products drives the illegal trade of wildlife, especially, the rare species, or especially Schedule 1 species, if I would rather say. Sadly enough, wildlife trafficking is thought to be one of the most profitable illegal trades in the wild. If we talk about pollution, we have to understand that pollutants can change ecosystems and can have severe impacts on not just the wildlife, but on the environment and people, the natural environment too. Many organisms ingest or absorb harmful toxins that ultimately get passed along through the food chain, and like pollutants like DDT, and then we have PCBs, heavy metals. They bioaccumulate in the predators. For example, the raptors like owls, vultures, what they do is, we have had a study back then in our college, and we found out that from the bird droppings, we have found out that there are huge number of harmful toxins and heavy metal bioaccumulation in their droppings. So this not just is up to the bird, but it also goes to the entire food chain. Like I said, it gets passed along. When we talk about human wildlife conflict, this is one major problem in our country. You can see a very sad picture where the two men, they are trying to beat or shoo away the leopard, because of course there's lack of awareness. In that regards, there are a lot of organizations that help, or they try to mitigate the conflict situations. But I believe if there's no awareness or no outreach about coexistence, this really won't help. The government is, of course, trying their best. People are trying out their best. But coexistence is a big question mark in our country. Do we really want to coexist? We don't understand that we can't do anything without wildlife around us. So conservation in India. So conservation in India was only, introduced when killing of animals, it was strictly prohibited in and around the ashramas. It was around the 3rd century BC. The founder of the Maurya Empire, Chandragupta Maurya, like we know him, he appointed a forest department head. And this officer was in charge of implementing the game laws laid down in the manuscript. And it was written by a person called Kautilya, and then the prime minister of the Mauryan Empire. Thus, in fact, became the first official administrative document to actually spell out wildlife conservation measures. So many of us didn't know about the roots, but yeah, wildlife conservation started very well from the 3rd century BC. And, coming to the era of British rule, these people, they were, they pushed several animals towards extinction. They thought that, the big animals specifically, I would show you a graph where you would also understand, the big animals bring savage and, cultureless and mannerless society. So they wanted to wipe out all the big animals like elephants, tigers, lions, because they thought that, they would bring primitive, culture back to the country, and they didn't want it, of course. So, actually they pushed the animals towards their last existing refuge, examples of which are sole surviving Asiatic lions population in Gujarat and the one-horned rhinos in northeastern India. It was under these circumstances that India's first national park, named as Jim Corbett National Park, came into action. So since the 90s, we have also witnessed the application of technology and science to conservation, because that's when, there were a lot of things like cameras, placing camera traps inside the, national parks or forested landscapes, using different measures to have a count of the population of the animals. So these are some different things which only came into the 90s. And then we had a lot of statistics and everything to monitor the population, to monitor the health of the animals. The thing that we use, the drone, where it is also used to monitor the wildlife population. So these all things only came in the 90s. And we should also understand the interest in wildlife conservation in this field is on the increase any day, because in fact, I myself get a lot of questions and, get a lot of mails and messages saying, hey, we would like to join or do something for wildlife. So of course, people are there, to do something for the conservation, to do something for the outreach and help people know that wildlife conservation is significant, not just in India, but all throughout the country, all throughout the world. So this was the graph I was talking about. You can see, how the graph increased and the extinct in the wild species are ranged high. If you see, in the 1800s to 1900s, which like the start of the Industrial Revolution, the mammals have gone extinct big time. Why? Because like I said, the British thought they have to wipe out the big animals, because they thought that, our country needed, small animals and not big animals that would, resemble a savage or uncultured society. So they wanted to wipe out all the big animals, specifically the big mammals like mammoths and Asiatic lions and everything. So what do wildlife organizations actually do? So they, there are a lot of wildlife organizations in our country, namely Wildlife SOS, of course. We have Wildlife Trust of India, we have WWF, we have Nature Conservation Foundation, etc., etc. So what do they actually do? Along with the help of government, we gain knowledge on wildlife, because whatever we deliver or whatever we say, it is not, just saying. It is based on a lot of research, statistics, analysis, and the knowledge that we gather from the field. So we gain knowledge on the wildlife and we try to help people out there by, creating awareness programs, by telling them how to do and what to do to actually help save the wildlife. And it is not just about wildlife. It starts from environment. If you do something very small also for the environment, that would somehow contribute in the bigger picture. We rescue and rehabilitate wildlife also. Whenever there's a, wild animal, in distress, we, of course, help the animal rescue. We bring them to the rehabilitation centers. And whenever the animal is medically deemed fit, we release the animal back. Public engagement, as in this one presentation is also, on public engagement. I'm engaging all of you to wildlife conservation aspect. Preserving habitats. We do a lot of tree plantation programs, afforestation programs. We do a lot of cultural and, awareness programs among the stakeholders, villagers, among the village folks, among the tribal communities, how to help, how to collaborate with them and preserve not just the habitats, but all the animals or plants being there. Influence the law. Of course, you guys might know that there's a Wildlife Protection Act that only came in the year 1972. So we have to abide by the laws. There are different schedules like Schedule 1, Schedule 2, Schedule 3, Schedule 4, Schedule 5, and Schedule 6 species. And we have to understand that these schedules are meant to be, followed. We have to understand that all these animals, they contribute to the ecosystem and indirectly to our survival as well. Adapting with the times. Of course, there's a lot of times when we have to adapt, like we have had this COVID-19 thing. And we have to understand that in such cases, we have to be very aware as in what are we consuming and what not. So adapting with the times is one big thing that wildlife organizations also help people in doing. So when we talk about conflict situations, these are some very distressing pictures. Pardon me, please, but these are some pictures that are very realistic and practical pictures. Conflict rate is getting higher every year, I would say every day. Please look at the number I mentioned. It is 36,982 approximate conflict cases that were registered in the year 2022. And these conflicts are concerned mostly with animals like elephants, tigers, leopards, wild boars, various reptiles like snakes, crocodiles, etc. And like I told you, why they are being, conflicted, because of habitat loss, habitat fragmentation, deforestation. That is why also the conflict rate is getting higher and lack of awareness. And these conflict cases also include crop raiding, human death, and it's not just human death, it is also about animal death, which is why, when we go out there to rescue animals, specifically when we try to rescue animals like elephants, leopards, and so on, we make sure that there's no loss of lives on both the sides. So, you would be very surprised to know that in the year between 2018 to 2021, 222 elephants were killed by electrocution around the country, out of which 45 deaths were caused by trains, 29 by poachers, and 11 by poisoning. So these are some realistic figures, which, at least gives me goosebumps. And that is what drives people like us to do something for them, as they can't speak out for themselves. So how to actually avoid conflicts? We can avoid conflicts by, of course, using proper lights at night, because when we move around in highways or when we move around in jungles or, inside any protected areas, if we don't have proper lights, either we are trying to, harm the animal, or of course, the animal in defense would try to attack the humans. So using proper lights is very important. Along with that, we have to use protective gears while working on the farm, because we also know that a lot of farmers, when they, work in their sugarcane fields or work in their fields, they get attacked by the leopard, they get mauled by some other animals, which is why using protective gear is a must. Effective fencing, of course, like I said, solar and electric. So in fact, our rescue center that we have in Bangalore is also fenced entirely under solar, so that, wild animals just do not barge in, and, we are also safe from them and they are also safe from us. Alternative crops is something that, we can, of course, initiate to avoid conflict. For example, if there's sugarcane fields that leopards, like to be in, we can try out with not sugarcane, with some other alternative crop, just to avoid conflict scenarios. We have to, of course, avoid interaction with any wildlife. We have to just move, backwards, or just leave the place immediately and respect their privacy as well. We always have to inform the officials when it comes to forest department or different organizations that are helping, in those areas. We have to inform them as and when there's any conflict situation, or there's some accident, or, the animal needs any kind of help. Use natural barriers, keep your backyards clean, because these are very important things. When, when we don't keep our backwoods clean, then that's when we, encourage animals like snakes, encourage animals like wild boars, leopards to, move around and to enter our premises. And of course, don't participate in any poaching and hunting. That is something that, of course, you guys definitely know. And indirectly or directly, we should not be a part of these activities. Now, let us talk more about wildlife SOS. So this is a map of our project locations. We have 12 rescue centers pan-India. You can see bears on 4 different portions of India. So if you see my pointer, this is Bangalore, where we have our Bannerghatta Bear Rescue Center. This is the world's 2nd largest sloth bear rescue center. This is for Central India. Here we have the rescue center in Bhopal. This is West Bengal, which is in Purulia. We have one rescue center there too. And this is Agra, which is the world's largest sloth bear rescue center. So we have 4 rescue centers for the sloth bears. We have 2 rescue and rehabilitation centers for elephants. This is Mathura and this is Haryana. And this is one reptile transit facility, just to ensure safety and conservation for the reptiles too. And this is one primate transit facility, which is in Agra again. And this one specific rescue center is in Maharashtra. There's a place named Junnar, which is 100 kilometers away from Pune. And we have one rescue and rehabilitation center for leopards there. And up north, you can see there are 2 bears, one brown bear and black bear. So there are 2 rescue centers in Srinagar, named as Dachigam and Pahalgam. And we have 2 rescue and rehabilitation centers for them too. Of course, these all rescue and rehabilitation centers are in collaboration and association with the respective forest department and stakeholders. So these are some of our basic projects. Wildlife SOS has done some commendable work when it comes to Dancing Bear project. They have made some marvelous contributions, because we ended a very cruel and barbaric 400-year-old dancing bear practice in India. So I'll tell you a little bit about the history of dancing bear. Basically, the Mughals, they encouraged this dancing bear thing, where there was, of course, no wildlife protection law or act going on in the country. So there's a community called Kalandars. You can also call them Madaris. So the Kalandars, they used to, poach the sloth bear cubs when they are just days or weeks old, and they would kill the mothers, and they would bring the sloth bear cubs to their homes, tame them, break the canines without the benefit of anesthesia. They would castrate the males with simple razor, and they would starve them for days, weeks altogether, just to, break the spirit of the animal, and then finally tame them and make them dance on the streets. But our co-founders, Mr. Karthik Satyanarayan and Mrs. Geeta Sheshmani, they wanted to help the bears out because, like I said, after the birth of Wildlife Protection Act, nobody is allowed to own any wild animal anywhere in the country. But we actually wanted to help the community as well. Because when we found out, when our co-founders started living with the bears, we found out that this community is not to be blamed. What they did was not out of intention to hurt the animal or something, but it's more of a generational practice, like I told you. It started from the time of Mughals. So they have acquired or inherited it from their fathers or forefathers or from their grandfathers. Pardon. So we wanted to help the community as well. So what we did is we offered them jobs as animal caretaking staff at our rescue centers, because we believe that the knowledge they have about bears is truly immense and we don't have that kind of on-ground knowledge. They know bear biology, they know bear behavior and everything. So how about giving them jobs at our rescue centers, and at the end of every month, they would get salaries with which they, of course, would sustain their big family. Because at the end of the day, what we found out is they used to poach the sloth bear cubs and everything. It's all for money. And what they used to, get is just 20-30 rupees a day. So here it is a good deal for them. Their, women, of course, has been provided vocational training and skill development programs by the organization, with which they, we have given them swing machines, candle making machines, and different other things with which they make a lot of handmade stuff, and we sell it out whenever we put out merchandise stall, and we provide the proceedings later to them. And to their children also we have promised education. So far we have been able to provide education to over 6,000 children, and most of them are now graduates. They are into research lines, doctors, engineers. Basically, we ensured that they don't have to go back to the same lifestyle and poach any animal cub out there. So this is all about the Dancing Bear project. The last dancing bear that we rescued from Kalandas was in the year 2009. And that bear is still with us inside our Bangalore facility. And it makes me very, very proud to say that we have been able to rescue over 620 sloth bears from the Indian streets, and we have rehabilitated them as well as the community. So elephant conservation and care, coming to this project, we all have seen elephants giving joy rides to people. It might be, a wonderful sight to see, or it can be a joyful thing for 2-3 minutes for us, but we don't realize what the elephant goes through for years altogether. So we started rescuing elephants also, and not just from begging conditions. We have rescued elephants from temples, from circuses, marriage processions, and whatnot. So these elephants, when they come to us, we see their hip bone is broken, their foot pad is damaged. Why? Because they're not meant to carry so many people or luggage, together on their back. And they're not meant to walk on the tar roads. They're only meant to walk on soft jungle roads with their herd, of course. But, these elephants are separated from their herd, and, they are poached, they are kept tamed and, shackled in chains, which, of course, brings a lot of pain to the elephants as well. So we started rescuing elephants, and now, our elephant sanctuary is adapted to provide lifelong care to their healing journey. Coming to leopard conservation, we work with leopards, in places like Agra, in places like Maharashtra, because, talking about Maharashtra, there's a huge problem of human leopard conflict. And we work towards the mitigation of this conflict. And we not just rescue the, leopards and release them or rehabilitate them, but we also reunite many, many leopard cubs with their mothers. Talking about tribal rehabilitation, I already told you that we not just rehabilitated the sloth bears, but we also rehabilitated the indigenous or tribal communities. We have provided them education and alternative sustainable livelihoods, so that they don't have to really go inside the forest and poach any animal cub. Now, there's also project like human bear conflict mitigation. We have human elephant conflict mitigation, where we mitigate conflicts with bears, with wild elephants, and we provide education in different locations of India, and we ask people to stay away from wildlife and to be aware, and to promote coexistence. We also have a project of anti-poaching, and there's a program called Forest Watch program that is initiated by Wildlife SOS, and with the help of Forest Department and the law, we crack down a lot of wildlife traffickers, poachers, and smugglers. Just recently, we have, stopped, poaching of tigers in Tamil Nadu. Very soon, it would be published in news and everything. We also have, habitat conservation project. We have research and conservation, training awareness. So there are a lot of projects. So these are just the major projects that I was talking about. We have a total of over 40 projects just to, conserve the natural heritage, forest, and, wildlife wealth. So Dancing Bear project, I have already, made you understand that we have eliminated the 400-year-old dancing bear practice, and the last one was rescued in the year 2009. They provided lifelong care in all the 4 rescue centers in India, and 40% of the staff from indigenous or tribal communities, they are with us inside the rescue centers. And the people, like the 60% of staff who did not join us in our rescue centers, they have been provided checks of 50,000 rupees each, with which they bought second-hand auto rickshaws or PCOs or, different other types. But we have ensured that they wouldn't go inside the forest again and poach any sloth bear. So these are some enrichments for bears, because in the wild, no 2 days are same for any animals. So we prepare a lot of, enrichments, not just for bears, for all our resident animals. And these helps stimulate them physically and mentally. So this keeps them active so that they get rid of the stereotypic behavior, like nodding of the head or moving in one place around and around. So this is what we initiated. Like you can see the tree houses, and not just the tree houses, we will paint it with peanut butter, lots of honey, because the sloth bears are also, they have good, strong sense of smell, which is why, olfactory enrichments are also a major hit. So this is one beautiful video. It's a very small video. So Chitra Bear is one of our bear at Bannerghatta Bear Rescue Center, Bangalore, and she's one of the most active bears that we have. And if you guys wonder what is she licking, she's licking peanut butter, which is one of the most important drives or motivation for the bears out here. So talking about tribal rehabilitation program, I already mentioned that we have been working, with the indigenous or tribal communities, and we have been working with them since the year 2002, and we have provided them, alternative livelihoods by imparting vocational training, by empowering their women. We have, given them education, because children have the right to be educated, and regular schooling. So, and not just that, we also, do help them with roofing of their house, clean drinking water supply. So these kalandas, if I mention, they are found pan India, and they're found in places like Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh. So, there's a place, if I mention, there's a place called Atru in Rajasthan where there's huge. We go there every week, and we provide their water so that they store it and they can drink, or they can use water wherever and whenever required. So this is my favorite, project when it comes to all the other projects in Wildlife SOS. This Bannerghatta Bear Rescue Center, it has been, established in the year 2005, and it was, prompted to basically, take care of all the bears that were rescued from entire South India. And right now we have more than 60 bears, and it is inside the Bannerghatta Biological Park. So we, of course, welcome visitors and volunteers inside the rescue center so that, like-minded people come together and we can spread awareness and we can do our bit towards wildlife conservation. So like I mentioned about black bear and brown bear project, there's high density bear population in Kashmir for both the bears, and we do a lot of outreach and rescues. So the problem, is not dancing bear over there. The problem is conflict situations. People in Kashmir, they don't really understand how to dispose their food wastes, especially non-veg food wastes. What they do is they leave their leftover biryani or half-eaten food right outside their homes, which is why these bears get encouraged and attracted towards that food, and they try to come and eat it. Now, of course, when a human, if you tell me, if I see a bear right outside my house, I would panic for sure. Now, these bears, out of lack of awareness, they sometimes try to kill the bears, or they try to shoo them away. Or bears, of course, in defense would try to hit the humans, or they try to kill the humans. In these conditions, Wildlife SOS intervenes and safely rescues both the bears and the humans and ensures safety on both the sides. So we have 2 rescue centers in Srinagar, like I mentioned. In Dachigam, we have 1 brown bear and 4 black bears. And in Pahalgam, we have 1 brown bear and 2 black bears. So this is our elephant conservation and care project. We rescued, elephants, like I told you, from different situations like begging, entertainment, temples, circuses, and we provide quality medical care. So I have to mention here that we also have one of the first world's elephant hospital, which is in Mathura, and it was established in the year 2018. And it is not just dedicated to, provide healthcare to only our elephants, but all through the country, the elephants are welcomed here and they are provided treatment and care, and then they go back. So we have over 30 rescued elephants in Mathura and over 5 rescued elephants in Haryana. And like I already told you about India's first elephant hospital. And we also have, by the way, an elephant ambulance, which is designed so well that an elephant can actually feel at home inside the ambulance. It has, showers, it has blankets, it has lots of fruits inside. So when we rescue elephant from one place to other, the elephant feels safe and at home with us. Now, these are some enrichments for elephants. These are, of course, not similar to the bear ones. We have to think about their trunk also. We have to think about their tusks also, and how we can bring the, positive, conditioning inside them, how we can help them be active, not just physically, but also mentally. So we do a lot of cage feeders, like the first photo that you see. This is a cage feeder. How to feed inside a cage is one of the enrichments. Hanging rolling net enrichment. So how to get the food outside of the net is the elephant's job now. The third picture is hanging sugarcane enrichment. So to, bring out the sugarcane is also one of the tasks for the elephants. Now, I already told you about Leopard Rescue Center. It is in Manikdo in Junnar district in Maharashtra. And we house almost 32 leopards. We provide quality healthcare. And not just leopards, there are a lot of animals that come to our facility in Maharashtra, like, jackals, hyenas, tigers. They get treated and they are released back to the wild. And these are some of the enrichments for leopards. You can see a platform enrichment. You can see a Halloween pumpkin enrichment, tunnel enrichment. And these are, of course, encouraged with a lot of blood and meat because they wouldn't come for any grass or wouldn't settle for any sugarcane, of course. Now, some other projects like, Forest Watch, I already mentioned, anti-poaching unit, human wildlife conflict mitigation. We do habitat restoration program in Ramdurga, which is in Koppal district in Karnataka, where we don't save any animal, but we rather, have indulged ourselves in saving the habitat out there, because it is a very potential habitat for not just leopards, sloth bears, but for a lot of other animals. So we believe if you save the habitat, the animals indirectly get saved. And we have rescue hotlines in Delhi, Agra, and other places of our country, where people can just ring us up and they can, notify us about any animal that requires emergency attention or medical treatment. And we go out there, rescue the animal, bring to our facility, treat them, and release them back. So now, very important slide, what we can do for wildlife. Follow 3 R's. Of course, we have to, understand that we have to recycle things, reuse them whenever and wherever possible. Go sustainable, like, starting from your toothbrush to the thing, you sleep on. Everything can be made sustainable. You have to check out for what you eat. Individuals' consumption also has a big time contribution to the environment and indirectly to the wildlife also. Be minimalistic, as in what we don't really need, we don't have to buy. Just, if we are okay with 3 t-shirts, we should be fine with 3 t-shirts. We don't have to go for the 4th one. Watch documentaries, get into science. We have a lot of National Geography channels, we have Discovery channels, we can watch so many documentaries out there. On that note, you should also please log into your Disney Plus Hotstar channel and watch out India's Jungle Heroes, where Wildlife SOS has been featured by National Geography, and we have had all our projects featured there. And of course, support the cause, donate, volunteer, or help. Patience around wildlife, which is very, very important, because we have to understand these animals, they don't have their voice of their own or to speak up for themselves. So we have to have a lot of patience when it comes to rehabilitation or rescue. We have to be kind to them, and responsible wildlife tourism, which we also call as ecotourism. Cuteness shouldn't, of course, measure conservation. Just because the animals are cute doesn't mean you have the right or you have the ability to go touch the animal or disturb the animal in any way. And citizen science measures to identify local plants, trees, birds, animals. These are some very minimalistic things that we can do and help save the environment and also the wildlife. And when we talk about long-term support, of course, minimalism is one big thing. We demand policy level change, because to talk about, the laws and everything, we of course do abide by the laws, but the implementation is a big question mark. And which is why we require, the change from the government as well. We have to check out for our eating habits. Tiny house movement is a very nice, initiative where people can just be settled in one small house and not, take a big balcony, take a big, bungalow or a big flat or something, which they don't really require. So tiny house movement is very essential, and you can actually give or help, space, provide space to other animals or other species or other human beings out there. Thrifting, borrowing, and using eco-friendly and biodegradable products are very, very major things that you can do. Invest in renewable energy sources wherever required. You can use just solar or other things that help save the environment. You can buy e-vehicles. There are lots of e-scooters now, e-cars now, so we can use them to travel. We can stop using single-use plastic. Of course, there's a buy plastics intentionally or unintentionally. And we, when it comes to buy local, it saddens me to see that people out there go to the malls and, they buy big brands and they don't really come to the ground and buy cultural or local things more and support local businesses, which is very important. Donate all that you don't need. We have a lot of clothes, we have a lot of phones, electronic gadgets, this, that, and we keep it unnecessary. So we can just donate it to whoever needs it. And of course, the last point is supporting NGOs like us. So with this, I would like to conclude my talk here, and your questions are welcome.
Thank you very much, Pooja. It was really fantastic. There are some questions in the chat box, Subodh.
Yeah.
One or two questions are there. I request those who want to ask questions directly, may please raise your hand. Subodh will call out your name. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ajay. Great presentation, Pooja, sorry. It was great to go through it again. And a lot of messages on the chat box appreciating the kind of work that you're doing. A lot of people have shown interest in wanting to attend or come and visit the center.
Of course.
So we will be planning one of those as soon as possible and get everyone involved. One important question that Rotarian Santosh had raised was, I'm sure you would also want to talk about it. He wanted to know, how do you fund your projects?
So when it comes to funding, of course, we don't really get any funding help from the government. We have gotten space or land to carry out our projects, and the permission, of course, to help save the wildlife. But when it comes to funds, we only, are dependent on kind and generous individuals or companies out there who come and support us with monetary contributions. And it's just not monetary contributions. People do help us with in-kind materials, donating all that they don't need, like electronic gadgets, where we don't have to buy that same thing here. So they sometimes come with peanut butter, they sometimes come with honey, dates, whatever they can or whatever they want to. That is very much welcome as well.
Pooja, there have been a couple of requests. If you could share the PowerPoint presentation.
Of course.
People would like to share them with their friends and family to increase awareness. So I'll take the first question from Rotarian Rajesh. Rajesh, if you could just unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Hi, I just was listening. It was a wonderful presentation and very inspiring presentation. Hope I am audible.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I have two very simple and straight questions. One is, I mean, most good part of it was answered by just previously when in the previous question. One being, how are you mobilizing your resources? Because the task ahead appears to be very huge and astronomically big. And you require a huge amount of resources in terms of human resources who would like to, work. But, voluntary participation has limitations. So you will have very little participation from volunteers. Okay. Now, this is a challenge which we need to look at because the work ahead is very big. And with the little resources, if we go, the output may be less. That means what we would like to achieve in, say, 10 years should be planned to achieve in 5 years, something like that. Okay. This is one question. Okay. Another question is, it's not a question, it's a query rather. Like everything is getting privatized nowadays, including the, religious stuff, gods, and, all sorts of spiritual stuff also is getting commercialized. So is it the right time that we, privatize this services also, taking care of the forest, animals, and everything? Because there will be fund flowing, and we should make it more attractive so that young passionate wildlifer could participate, work, and then there is an earning also for them, and they'll be able to do a better job. This is just a suggestion because everything is going in that direction, unfortunately. Yeah, those are two questions of mine.
So answering to your question one, Rajesh sir, I would like to tell you that, of course, getting our resources mobilized is one big and hectic pressure that mostly not just us, all organizations, all NGOs face. So we, of course, do encourage people to come, not just to volunteer or visit with us, to contribute as well to the cause. And we also encourage companies that are eligible to provide CSR funds. They help us with CSR funds too. Of course, I should also mention that companies a very important and significant factor in the society. But sometimes we just don't realize that wildlife and the animals out there also requires huge attention and huge funding for the entire process to run. So we do, struggle, but of course, we do have lovely and generous supporters who help us every now and then. And, we somehow try to sustain our projects in the longer run. We do write a lot of grants also, specifically, to get fundings for our projects. Because, sir, when, it comes to elephants or, when it comes to sloth bears, leopards, they require huge funding. If I talk about one elephant, an elephant eats 200 to 300 kilos of food every day. It is not easy for us. So, of course, we struggle, but somehow we sustain as well. Now, coming to your question number 2, sir, I agree what you said makes absolute sense. But I also feel that if from the government or policymakers only, the laws are abided well, or the implementation of laws are done well, we don't really have to privatize entire thing. Their support would be one of the biggest asset for wildlife NGOs like us. So,
but you see, that is a far. Being very optimistic that we expect anything from government. So I was just thinking, see, everything is becoming privatized. So I was just thinking, maybe it should be brought under, and small portions have to be converted into social entrepreneurship, because a lot of services today are under social entrepreneurship. Why? Because managing a trust becomes very complicated. I'm sure Sanjay will agree with me. So social entrepreneurship, it works like an organization. That's a company. So company laws are applicable for that. So it simplifies a lot of things. And, good salaries can be paid, and youngsters who have done their veterinary and various other specialized courses, get job opportunities, and this can become a very big job creator if regulations are done properly, and if the passion and if the commitment and dedication be infused into this social entrepreneurship, it will do a good job, is what I was thinking.
Of
Because
course, I
funding-
totally agree.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Rotarian Rajesh. Moving on to our next question. Next question is from Kavita. Is that Kavita?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Please go ahead. Hi,
Kavita.
hi. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, Pooja, I was just wondering if with the help of Wildlife SOS, if you could approach the government and ensure that one-time plastic is banned practically, because as of now it is banned only on paper, right? We see
Yes.
one-time plastic being used everywhere, wherever we go. So if you could intervene and, make sure that it is banned practically. So I think that would make a big impact if all organizations or NGOs like you could intervene. That was one thing. And the second point was I had participated in the cleanliness drive which you conducted on Friday. And I realized that, manually, we brought about a 10% change in the environment there. So I was just wondering if you could create awareness drives in the village of Banerghata maybe and provide dustbins, because they had burnt half the plastic, almost half the burnt plastic we were not able to retrieve, right? And so it remained there. And we probably in the 2.5 hours that we spent, 10% of the change is all that we could achieve. And I'm sure if you go back 10 days from now, it's going to be back to where we started that day on Friday. So maybe so providing dustbins there would make a big difference, is what I felt, Pooja.
Totally agreed, Kavita. Coming to your first question, it absolutely makes sense. Like it is said, charity begins at home. We have started, using the plastic use. So some of you, whoever has visited our rescue center or whoever has gotten our merchandise items, we don't sell the merchandise items and give it in plastic wrappers. We give it in paper wrappers, or we give it simply. We don't use plastic wrappers also. And of course it makes more sense when we collaborate or associate with the government, and we contribute to the ban of single-use plastic. And coming to the dustbins, Kavita, we have actually started this project long back, in places like Anekal, in places like Ragihalli, where there are a lot of wild movements also. So we have started awareing the people out there, doing outreach campaigns and providing dustbins, where we also urge people to separate their dry waste, wet waste, and bottle wastes also. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Kavita, for your question. I think I agree that it's not only the government that can achieve things unless people cooperate and we increase awareness. It's a big thing to take up for everybody together. Moving on, our next question is from Rotarian Krishna. If you could please unmute and go ahead.
Yes, first of all, there is no question. My full appreciation and thank you so much for a wonderful presentation that you did today. I think you started from where the Kautilya started to what you are doing currently there. It was a wonderful journey for 50 minutes. It was very, very insightful for me. And moreover, I appreciate your passion, commitment, enthusiasm on this cause itself. I wish you all the best for you and your team. I would say it was a Sunday evening well worth spent on that. Thank you so much. God bless you, Poojaji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Krishna. Any further questions? Would anybody like to ask anything else?
Thank you so much for a wonderful session. I think everything you have covered, including the environmental point of view, what every individual should do, as well as a club, what they can adopt the things. And thanks a lot. Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you, Wildlife Fellowship. Great presentation. And really, I would like to join you, Pooja.
Please do.
Sanjay, once we will go.
Sure. Pooja, I have one question for you. Okay, will you take me as your student?
Sir,
Yes,
It was a
I should ask you.
I will tell you it was a fantastic session. And you took us through the fundamentals. I'm really happy to have invited you for this session. Of course, Mona and Shobha have questions. They'll.
Thanks, Sanjay. If we can move on to Mona, if you'd like to ask a question, please unmute and go ahead. Patel?
I think Mona lost her connection. Yeah, she's back. Yeah.
Hi, Pooja.
Hi, Mona.
It was a wonderful session, and you are doing some great and challenging work, I must say.
Thank you.
It's really wonderful. I would like to know, you were talking about this Junnar in Maharashtra, the leopard center.
Yes.
Possible to visit there, and if at all, in whichever manner it is, we are able to contribute there, we will love to do that. So
please.
About how to go about it. So if you can help me with that.
Sure,
and
I would.
Is from the same district, 3170.
Okay.
So the two of us can always get into it together and do something to help the Junnar center at least.
Definitely. So maybe I should leave my email address and phone number in the chat box, and anybody can contact me, and I would love to assist, everybody with whatever concerns or queries or, visits, volunteerings and everything.
Okay. Yes. So I'll get back to you on the mail.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mona. Moving on, Shobha.
Please unmute yourself, Rotarian.
Sorry.
Please unmute yourself.
Yes. Yes, it's a great presentation, Pooja. I see that you have a passion for this, can be seen from the way you talk, your body language, and the kind of work you have done. And I second Mona, both of us belong to the same district and the same club. So together, I think we can do something. What she said about Junnar, also about Bangalore, let us contact you, communicate with you, and we would like to know what we can do on our front.
Definitely. We would love to assist you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you. And God bless you.
Thank you, Rotarian Shobha.
Yeah.
Dr. Dhulapa, you have a question? If you could switch on your video and unmute yourself, please.
Hi, good evening. Pooja, very nice informative presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Rotarian Dr. Dhulapa M from Veterinary College, Shimoga. You have mentioned one project near our place, Koppal, Ramdurga.
Yes,
village.
sir.
Yeah, can you highlight it, how we can work with that? I mean, it's the nearest project. I mean, area,
So, sir,
where we can work together.
Yeah, sir, at the moment, we are unable to accommodate visitors or volunteers in our Ramdurga project because of lack of staff there. And, which is why we would love to encourage you to visit Bannerghatta Bear Rescue Center first. And whenever, the visiting facility or the volunteering facility starts in Ramdurga, I would love to personally get in touch with you and we can proceed from there.
Okay.
But to start with, please to visit our world's second largest sloth bear rescue center in Bannerghatta, and I must say you would love it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dhulapa. Any further questions? Well, Pooja, just to let you know, you have reached today people from Germany, you have reached people from Pakistan, from Bangladesh.
Oh, really?
Of course, all over India.
God.
Sri Lanka as well.
Sri Lanka. So people all over the world are getting to know about the good work that you guys are doing.
Thank you
Any
so much.
any further questions?
And USA as well. I see Rashmi is saying USA.
Yeah, Rashmi, yes.
Yeah.
When I can come and meet you.
Yeah.
Please.
So sorry, Jyoti.
What I mean to say, from now, when I can come and meet you, my next trip will be to visit Pooja.
Please do. I would love to meet you in person.
Really so
Yeah.
impressed and inspired by you.
Thank you.
So just I take this opportunity to make an appeal to the Rotarians here. Please, if you can motivate your Rotary clubs to take up projects related to wildlife conservation. You know, what we can do as Rotary clubs is, yes, definitely we can't get on field and do the work like how Pooja and similar organizations are doing. The best thing for us to do would be, you know, let's support the communities which are doing such work. Rotary is a organization doing humanitarian service. Why not we support these human beings who are doing wonderful work in the field of conservation? Please take up some projects, at least one project a year related to wildlife conservation from your respective clubs. I think fellowship group is there to, you know, support you all in whichever way it is possible. And through this fellowship group, we are connected to the world. And I'm sure it can, you know, it could be some kind of a global grant project also. We can definitely get some other club, from some international club to support these kind of projects. I'm sure we can achieve this. Probably it's only now that, you know, we are talking so much about wildlife in Rotary. And I'm sure going forward, we can do a lot of things. And let me tell you that today I got an opportunity to invite Pooja to come and, you know, address us all, because we got a chance to visit the Bannerghatta Center. I can assure you, whoever wants to visit or visiting the Bannerghatta Center, their rescue center, will be really touched by the work undertaken by Wildlife SOS. It's brilliant. It's amazing. And we also, you know, after our visit, the immediate thing that we did after the suggestion given by Subodh was, you know, we offered them to take up a stall in the district conference, and where they could come and showcase their and sell their merchandise to support those communities which are supporting them. So I mean, I'm sure that it might have helped them in some way, at least to if not to raise funds, at least they have got some attention from the visitors about the kind of work that they are doing. So I think we should, as Rotarians and Rotary clubs, we should involve ourselves with organizations like these. If not directly supporting them, at least we could connect them to the right people who can support them. So Pooja, thank you so much. If anyone else has any other question, I think Jyoti, you want to ask something, please go ahead and ask. After that, I think we have completed 1 hour. Yeah. So we will end this session after that. Please go ahead, Jyoti.
Actually, my club is USA Club North Carolina. I just want to invite you as a speaker, as well as, if possible, I have already added my details into the chat. Please
Right.
note it and send me through the email your all details. I will forward it to my president. And I want to see my club join with you.
Sure, definitely. I would do.
And I will take a responsibility. Then you and me will, report them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jyoti. That's wonderful. And okay, Subodh?
Yeah, I think we're done.
Yeah.
We can wrap up, Sanjay. Back to you.
Yes. Thank you. There are some amazing comments in the chat box.
Yes.
Pooja, thank you so much for joining once again.
Thank you for providing the opportunity.
This session was wonderful. Each one of us really enjoyed. Not only enjoyed, I should say that you have given us food for thought. How each one of us can play a role in conservation is something that's what we are taking back with us today. Thank you so much. We would definitely look forward to see you and meet up with members of all the members of your organization in various parts of the country. By the way, I had visited the Pahalgam Zoo. That's where the bears are, the rescued bears are there, is it?
Yes.
Yes. I had seen the bears, but I didn't know that they were rescued and they were under the care of wildlife.
If you would let me know, sir, I would help you with a contact number there. She's called Alia Mir and she handles both the centers, solely. Yes. She would love to assist you.
I did visit both Pahalgam Zoo. I did visit Dachigam Wildlife Sanctuary as well. But of course, I didn't see any bear in the Dachigam Wildlife Sanctuary.
Right.
But, yeah. Thank you so much. Have a great week ahead. Thank you all. Thanks each one of you for joining. You have all joined from different parts of the world. Thank you so much, different parts of the country. We have members from Gujarat, we have members from Belgaum, Jamshedpur, Solapur, Maharashtra. We have members from Pakistan, Germany, Sri Lanka, and of course, our own Shumaga and Bangalore. Thanks each one of you for joining, and thank you each of the Rotary friend who have joined this program. Have a great week ahead and a very good evening to you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.